Testing, 1, 2, 3. Good evening, councillors and members in the public gallery. I will officially open this evening's special council meeting at 7 p.m. This special council meeting has been called for the purpose of considering the method of election for the mayor and a ward boundary and representation review in preparation for the proposed reform of the Local Government Act 1995. I'd like to remind everyone to please ensure that comments are respectful to council and all meeting attendees, including city officers and those in our public gallery. Please note this meeting is being live streamed. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Item 3, there are no announcements from the presiding member. Item 4, attendance. Councillor Clark is on leave of absence this evening and no apologies have been received. All remaining councillors are present in the chamber this evening. Applications for leave of absence. Are there any councillors who would like to apply for a leave of absence? Councillor Peterson-Pick.
Thank you. From the 19th of December 2022 to the 11th of January 2023.
Inclusive.
Inclusive, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Eveson.
Yes, the 15th of November to the 23rd of November inclusive, please.
Thank you. Can I have a mover? Councillor Palmer, seconding Deputy Mayor. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, disclosures of interest. Are there any councillors who have an interest to disclose? Councillor Ball.
Thank you. I have one interest to disclose. Item 10.1, proactive implementation of local government reform, including election of the mayor. I'm the chair of the Local Government Advisory Board. It's a financial interest and I'll be leaving the room and I suspect I won't return to the meeting.
No problem. Thank you. Any other disclosures? No. We'll move on to item 6, public question time. Members, please come forward. I'll just get the microphone turned on. Thank you. And just a reminder that there are 3 questions.
I only have one. I only thought of it a minute ago. I just realised that we haven't had an AGM. Can someone explain why we've missed out?
Yes, I'm happy to answer that. However, I just need to advise that for tonight at a special council meeting, the questions need to be in relation to the items on tonight's agenda.
As a public member, how am I supposed to know that? I've only read the...
So I'll just advise you that now, but I can tell you, and is it okay for me to respond? The AGM is scheduled for the 7th of November.
Oh, right, thank you. Just as a note, if what you've just mentioned, that the questions have to be particular to the agenda, could that be notated next time you do the agenda for the public to know before? I mean, I feel embarrassed now.
So I'm just, if governance would like to respond to that.
Through the chair, I think that's great feedback. We're happy to include that in future agendas to make that notation.
It is actually in the agenda as well.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it's on page 8.
So I've got to get to page 8 rather than right in the front.
That's where the public question time is listed.
Right. Okay. Is that... Actually, I'm just going to refer to it, sorry. I've got page 5, agenda, page 5, it's got public question time. So do I have to go to page 8?
Oh, okay. Our page numbers may be different to what you have in front of you, but it should be under public question time. If you have a read under there, it'll state it.
Question during question time state.
Point 4.
Questions.
It's point 4.
Oh, so this differs to a general ordinary council meeting where
Yes.
you can ask unrelated?
Yep, special council meetings
Right,
differ.
okay. Right, so it's really the devil's in the details, so I'd really have to get to the specific page to understand it rather than... It's just really time-consuming for a public member to have to scroll through every little detail. It would be great if it was just in the front here, public question time in brackets. It's just a simple thing for me, I think.
Thank you for your
That's-
feedback. The governance officers have
Thank
taken
you.
that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, no questions have been received in writing for this meeting. So I'll move on to item 7, which is presentations. Do any councillors have a petition to table in relation to the item on tonight's agenda? No. And no deputation requests have been received for this evening's meeting. Now, I'll move on to item 8, method of dealing with agenda business. There is only one item to be discussed tonight in section 10. Item 9, reports. There are no reports on tonight's agenda, so we'll move on to notices of motion. Item 10, motions of which previous notice has been given. 10.1 is a notice of motion lodged by myself, proactive implementation of local government reforms, including election of mayor. So, councillors, I have advised the CEO in writing of my intention to move the following amendments to the original notice of motion. I'll ask, the minute taker has put it on the screen. If I can just get that on the screen. And I'll read it out and then I'll ask for a seconder. That council, 1, notes the final LG reform proposals announced by the Minister for Local Government in July 2022 and the letter received from the Minister for Local Government on 20 September 2022. 2, adopts the direct election method of filling the office of mayor to take effect at the 2023 Ordinary Council elections. 3, directs the Chief Executive Officer to conduct a ward boundary and representation review for the City of Bayswater, having regard to A, the final local government reform proposals announced by the Minister for Local Government in July 2022, which will require the City of Bayswater Council to reduce the total number of elected members from 11 to 9, with no more than 8 elected councillors and 1 directly elected mayor. B, any reduction in the number of elected member positions as required by the final local government reform proposals announced by the Minister for Local Government in July 2022, being phased in over 2 stages across the 2023 and 2025 Ordinary Council elections. 1, Stage 1, 2023, introduce a directly elected mayor and reduce councillor positions by 1 from 11 to 10 to maintain a total number of elected members of 11. 2, Stage 2, 2025, reduce councillor positions by 2 from 10 to 8 to establish a total number of elected members of 9. C, the requirement for the submission of any proposal to the Local Government Advisory Board to be made prior to 14 February 2023 so that it may be considered and in place in time for the 2023 Ordinary Council election. 4, request the CEO to write to the Minister for Local Government and the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries, advising that the City of Bayswater intends to undertake the voluntary pathway and provides a high-level plan of the potential changes to be implemented for the ordinary elections to be held in 2023 and 2025 as identified in this resolution. Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor. Thank you. So, councillors, the purpose of this notice of motion is to allow the administration to proactively commence a ward boundary and representation review so the city is in a position to transition and address the local government reforms ahead of the 2023 council elections. As you're all aware, the final package of local government reforms was announced in July following a review of public submissions. What we now know is that the City of Bayswater will be required to change the method of electing the mayor from a vote of the council to a vote of the electors of the district. We also know that the City of Bayswater will be required to reduce the number of elected members from 11 to 9, inclusive of the mayor. This is due to our population being less than 75,000. While this motion was put forward prior to receiving the latest advice from the Minister, on receiving that advice, two things are clear. One, this motion is amended, and what the Minister wants and intends for councils like ours are exactly in alignment. And two, were we to take an alternative path, it would not be supported by the Minister, and we would lose the capacity to have input into this process on behalf of our community. In preparation of these changes, a ward and representation review is required and needs to be submitted to the Local Government Advisory Board before the 14th of February 2023. By supporting this motion, you will enable the city to be well prepared to implement the changes and ensure we can meet our obligations under the reforms. Deputy Mayor, would anyone like to speak against? Anyone for? Councillor Peterson-Pick,
Yeah, I would like to speak on the item.
are you speaking in favour?
I'm leaning to vote for the motion.
Pardon?
I am leaning to vote for the
Yep,
motion.
go ahead.
But I do have concerns. Okay, so first of all, I would like to put on the record that we don't really have much choice. Unfortunately, when we are considering those kind of big issues, we received an ultimatum from our Minister for Local Government that if we will not take what he refers to as the voluntary approach, we will find ourselves next year in a big chaos. No wards, no councillors in specific wards, costs of making elections for all positions. And I personally ask questions about what will happen if we will not take that option, and much of the information is not known. And it is concern to me that we are now in this position only by having an instruction in a letter by a minister about changes that have not been presented yet and approved by our cabinet, a bill that has not been introduced yet into our parliament. Our parliament has not approved those changes that the minister is indicating that he will make. So only because of a letter, us and all local governments around the state are now compelled to consider our options. And I think this is concerning for every resident in this state. And maybe this is an outcome of having one party ruling in both houses, where one minister can make something like this. The minister that's supposed to work with local governments. I also would like to highlight that we already did a ward review, and we are now compelled to do another ward review just because we are short of 4,000 residents. So there are no transitional provisions proposed here, no other steps for big local governments like us. So this is the situation. I also would like to make a few comments about the proposal for the popular vote for the mayor position. I do have concerns which I want to make known because I know from just looking at other cities, including the city of Perth, what we now soon will experience here in the city of Bayswater. Only those with money, power, political networks, previous experience as mayor, only those will have the real chance to be elected as a future mayor in our city. We will see even more involvement of political parties and state politicians in our election processes. We will see more donations, and more involvement of businesses in the election process. Going with a popular vote will also give the impression to our residents that the mayor has significant powers, and that under the current Local Government Act is not the case. And it's important to highlight it. The mayor is responsible to represent the council in events and photo shoots, etc., to communicate between the council and the CEO, and the mayor also has the casting vote. As far as I know, those are the main powers that our mayor and any mayor in the state has. Parachuting a mayor by the public to the council would could create potentially more fractions, more problems if a majority of councillors is not happy with how a specific mayor run the council. And despite what people think about a specific mayor now, previously, the current system has benefits in the way that residents know that a chosen mayor was elected by a majority of councillors, which has the chance that the council can function. And councillors can be critical of things that are happening or with items, but that concept is important, because I think the last thing that residents would want is unfunctional councils. But I am also not blind to the issues with the current system. I've seen the deals. I personally experience the deals that are happening when it comes to the election of the mayor. 3 years ago, I was offered a deal outside these chambers. Yes, here, 15 minutes before the vote for the mayor, I obviously explained to that person that this is not the reason why I would vote for her, yes or no, to be the mayor, and I did not vote for her to be the mayor on that basis as well. But I still think that unethical behavior can occur anytime. Even if when we have a popular vote, it doesn't mean that the future mayor will be ethical. I would have preferred seeing the reform dealing with, for example, making the vote for the mayor public and not secret, so residents can see who vote for which person.
Councillor,
And residents,
Councillor, you've reached 5 minutes, so if you can
will finish.
finish it. Yeah.
where residents can discuss how their elected member, their ward elected member, vote for a specific mayor or a specific deputy mayor. I think that is a better way to deal with those issues. And also, we can have an offence in the Act about making deals. That, I think, probably would have been a better way to deal with it, but I understand both sides. And on the basis of that, I will support the motion on the table.
Thank you. Anyone speaking against? Councillor Johnson?
Thank you. Can I ask a question first? Are we able to split these items up for voting, or are they all as one?
I won't be splitting them.
No worries, thank you. What can I say? I've previously, we've twice had this discussion in this chamber about direct election for mayor, and on the 2 previous occasions I haven't supported it on the basis that we don't have compulsory voting in local government elections, and it's a big decision being made by few. I'm supportive of compulsory voting in local government elections, as I've mentioned before, and I understand that the local government minister has no appetite for those changes. On that basis, I think it's yeah, I'm really torn on this one. Probably need to make an impartiality declaration, because this affects me, it affects the people around the table, and I feel very I feel very that we're making a decision that affects our council, and it's and our residents. I know our residents are supportive of direct election of mayor and of fewer councillors. I don't think that's any argument about that. If you ask anyone if they want fewer politicians, I'm sure they would say that is the case. I think our councillors have represented, though, our residents really well, I would say. Making a decision now to, we know who's going to be impacted. We can sit around the table and know who's going to be impacted by these decisions, and that is really difficult. On that basis, I'm more likely to support a total spill than to be picking which elections we're going to be we're going to be holding. I don't think the cost is such an issue. It costs the same, right? You have to send ballot papers to everyone, so I can't see how the cost is different. I mean, have more votes to count at the end, but I don't think the cost would be any different if we're going to have elect everyone rather than just elect a few. Or a few different wards. I'm really torn on this. I get that we're being compelled by the minister by a letter to do this. There's no legislation. I'm reminded of the last time that our local government went ahead and made some changes ahead of legislation, and that was the forced amalgamations, which I think this council spent, I think I'm wrong, was before my time, $2 million up around that sort of number. Implementing, aware this one is going to come a cost as well that we don't have a budget for, as far as I'm aware, doing the boundary ward review. So I think we're kind of we're doing something ahead of the legislation, but I'm also know that, with the numbers the state government has, that there's unlikely to be a lot of changes when it comes to Parliament. I'm really torn on this one, I think. So I'm not supportive of direct election of mayor, so probably won't support.
Thank you. Anyone speaking in favour? Anyone again? Councillor Sutherland?
I'm going to support it, and it's sort of in favour, but it's sort of not. But I just want to say a few things. Firstly, Councillor Peterson-Pick said, I think it's really strange that this bill hasn't been passed yet. We're going to have to do something before the bill's been passed in Parliament. I secondly just want to say that I don't think this is necessary at this time. There are a lot of issues happening in this state, and I don't think local government reform should be at the top of it. But nevertheless, we've got no choice to do this. I haven't in the past ever voted for a directly elected mayor. I think there's a perception out in the public that a directly elected mayor somehow has more power than a councillor. They don't. They have one vote. And I have not yet to see any empirical evidence that suggests having a directly elected mayor is any better or makes the council work any better than one that we choose. In fact, I think it's the opposite, and I've had experience. Obviously, we can see what happened with Perth. The other thing too, if you get rid of, do this, the minister and this government indeed are always talking on about diversity. If we want to get a mayor, we have, firstly, if we have wards, that's good, but a mayor that's directly elected, they're going to have a ticket, and they're going to have to, as Councillor Peterson-Pick said, have a lot of money, because it is it's bad enough just going for a council position, let alone be a mayor. So I'm not sure where the diversity is going to come in. It's going to be 100%, in my opinion, more politically run. If we have no wards, it will be a ticket, because it's just about impossible to win an election without a ticket, and then we don't get diversity in opinion. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that will happen, but I'm just saying what I've seen over east and in other places. So we have to do this. I think in this case, in Bayswater, awards are good things because it's a very diverse council. We can see Bayswater, Maylands, and where I am, Naranda Morley, different things. I think we all know our people well, and we should keep that. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about it.
Thank you. Anyone speaking against? Anyone for? If not, I'll close. I'll just wanted to say a few things in response to comments from Councillor Johnson. In terms of the two options that are before us, I truly believe that this one that is, as per the motion, is the least disruptive option for the city out of the two, regardless of, you know, the implications, and it maintains wards as well. So I think overall, out of the two, if you're considering what's best for the city, this is the best option because it's least disruptive. I also support compulsory voting, 100% in local government. But overall, I do applaud Minister Carey and the department on their proposed reforms, and I urge all councillors to support this motion as being in complete alignment with those reforms and reflective of our community's desire to continue to have a voice. I'll now put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Maleka, Councillor Ostaszewski, Councillor Palmer, Councillor Eason, Councillor Sutherland, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Peterson-Pick and myself. All those against? Councillor Johnson. That is carried. We'll now move on to item 11, question from members without notice. Oh, just before we do, I'll just confirm, is Councillor Bull still there, or just make sure we've given him? I think he may have left. Yeah, all good. So are there any questions from members without notice? No? Move on to item 12. There are no items of business of an urgent nature this evening, and there are no confidential items on this evening's agenda. Therefore, I will close this evening's meeting at 7:26 p.m. Thank you, councillors.